But no suitor wanted to marry a girl who couldn't control her farts, louder and smellier than ever before. Once upon a time, in the beautiful village of Ikwo, there lived a girl named Amaka. She was as sweet as the mangoes that grew in the village, and as kind as the sun that warmed their days. But there was something different about Amaka. Whenever she laughed or ran, a funny noise would escape from her bottom. Yes, you guessed it right, it was a fart. Now, farts are normal, but Amaka's farts were anything but ordinary. They were loud, smelly, and seemed to come at the most unexpected times. Whenever she went to the market or attended gatherings with her family, her farts would make an appearance, much to her embarrassment. Her family tried everything to stop the farts. They gave her different foods, took her to see the village doctor, and even performed traditional rituals. But nothing worked. Amaka's farts continued to cause trouble wherever she went. As Amaka grew older, her family started to worry. In their village, it was important for girls to find good husbands. But no suitor wanted to marry a girl who couldn't control her farts. One by one, the suitors came to visit, hoping to win Amaka's hand in marriage. But as soon as they heard of her farts, they would make excuses and leave, leaving poor Amaka heartbroken. Word spread quickly in the village, and soon nobody wanted their sons to marry Amaka. Her family felt ashamed, and Amaka felt like a burden. She spent many nights crying herself to sleep, wishing she could stop her uncontrollable farts. One day, a wise old woman from a neighboring village came to Ikwo. She had heard about Amaka's problem and offered to help. Amaka and her family were skeptical, but they had tried everything else, so they decided to give it a try. The old woman spent days with Amaka, teaching her special exercises and giving her herbs to eat. At first, Amaka was doubtful, but as she followed the old woman's instructions, she noticed something amazing. Her farts were becoming less frequent and less smelly. Excited, Amaka continued to practice the exercises, and soon enough, her farts disappeared altogether. Her family was overjoyed, and the people in the village started to see Amaka in a new light. No longer was she the girl with the uncontrollable farts, but a strong and determined young woman. Years passed, and Amaka grew into a beautiful and confident woman. Suitors came from far and wide, eager to marry the girl who had overcome such a challenge. But this time, it was Amaka who had the power to choose. Yes! And when she finally found love, it was not because of her farts, but because of the kind heart that had always been inside her. And so, in the village of Ikwo, Amaka's story became one of courage, perseverance, and acceptance. And whenever someone mentioned her name, it was not with shame, but with admiration for the girl who had overcome the odds and found happiness in the end. Just when everything seemed perfect for Amaka, a mysterious illness swept through the village of Ikwo. People fell sick one by one, and soon the village was in a state of panic. Amaka, with her kind heart, volunteered to help the sick despite the risk to her own health. As she tended to the ill, Amaka noticed something strange. Whenever she was near someone who was sick, her farts would return, louder and smellier than ever before. At first, she tried to ignore it, but as more people fell sick around her, she realized that her farts were somehow connected to the illness. Desperate for answers, Amaka sought the help of the village elders. Together, they discovered that Amaka had a rare gift. Her farts were a warning sign of sickness in others. The smellier the farts, the more serious the illness. With this newfound knowledge, Amaka became a hero in the village. She used her gift to identify and treat illnesses before they could spread, saving countless lives in the process. And while her farts may have been strange and embarrassing, they were also a blessing in disguise. From that day on, the people of Ikwo no longer saw Amaka as a girl to be ashamed of, but as a brave and selfless healer. And though her journey had been filled with challenges and setbacks, Amaka had finally found her true purpose in life, to help others and bring healing to her village. And so, with her head held high and a heart full of pride, Amaka continued her work, knowing that she had found her place in the world. As years passed, people from neighboring villages sought for help, and even travelers passing through would seek her out for her unique gift. With each life she saved, Amaka's legend grew. But Amaka's greatest legacy was not just in her healing abilities, but in the kindness and compassion she showed to everyone she met. She became a beloved figure in the region, known not only for her extraordinary talent, but also for her humble spirit and willingness to help those in need. In time, the memory of Amaka's uncontrollable farts faded into the background, replaced by the legacy of the woman who had overcome adversity to become a beacon of hope for her village and beyond. And so, long after she was gone, Amaka's name lived on in the hearts of the people of Ikwo, a reminder of the power of perseverance, compassion, and the unexpected twists of fate. Her story was told and retold, passed down from generations to generation, inspiring others to embrace their own unique gifts and to never give up in the face of challenges. And as the sun set over the village of Ikwo, casting a golden glow over the landscape, Amaka's spirit lived on, forever woven into the fabric of the community she loved and served so faithfully. Sudden commotion disrupted the joyous atmosphere. Whispers of envy and jealousy emerged from unexpected quarters. Ignore the gravity of the situation. In the bustling village of Umachi, nestled deep in the heart of Igbo land, lived a young woman named Inkem. She was known far and wide for her beauty, grace, and unmatched cooking skills. Inkem's laughter could be heard echoing through the village as she went about her daily chores, spreading joy wherever she went. Opposite to Inkem's cheerful demeanor was Chidi, a handsome and hardworking man who had earned a reputation as the village's most skilled woodcarver. His creations adorned many homes in Umachi, and his craftsmanship was sought after by neighboring villages as well. Their paths crossed one sunny market day when Chidi was showcasing his latest carvings at the village square. Inkem, who was purchasing ingredients for her famous okra soup, couldn't help but admire the intricate designs of Chidi's wooden figurines. Their eyes met, and in that moment, a silent understanding passed between them. Chidi, with his confident gait, approached Inkem and struck up a conversation about her culinary skills. Intrigued by his charm and impressed by his work, Inkem found herself drawn to him. They talked for hours, exchanging stories about their lives, dreams, and the rich Igbo culture they both cherished. As time went by, their bond grew stronger, and whispers of their budding romance spread throughout Umachi. Elders in the village nodded approvingly, foreseeing a union that would strengthen ties between two prominent families. Despite their growing affection, challenges loomed on the horizon. Inkem hailed from the affluent Okonkwo family, known for their successful trading ventures, while Chidi's roots traced back to the humble Ude family, respected for their craftsmanship but lacking in wealth compared to the Okonkwos. Obinna, Inkem's protective older brother, voiced concerns about their differing social statuses. He feared that their marriage might bring shame to the Okonkwo family or cause rifts within the community. However, Inkem remained steadfast in her love for Chidi, believing that their bond could overcome any obstacle. On the other hand, Ugomma, Chidi's trusted friend, stood by his side, offering unwavering support. She understood the depth of Chidi's feelings for Inkem and believed that their union could bridge gaps between families and showcase the true essence of love and unity. Amidst these conflicting emotions, Ezeogo, the village elder renowned for his wisdom, was approached by both families seeking guidance. Aware of the budding love between Inkem and Chidi, Ezeogo deliberated on a solution that would honor tradition yet uphold the principles of love and respect. As preparations for a grand traditional marriage ceremony began, whispers of envy and jealousy emerged from unexpected quarters. Hidden agendas and secret alliances threatened to cast shadows over the joyous occasion, setting the stage for unforeseen twists in Inkem and Chidi's love story. The vibrant village of Umachi buzzed with anticipation as the day of Inkem and Chidi's traditional marriage ceremony approached. The air was filled with the aroma of roasted yam and palm wine, signaling the joyous celebration that awaited. Amidst the festivities, hidden tensions and looming secrets threatened to unravel the happiness of the young couple. The morning of the traditional marriage dawned with clear skies and a festive atmosphere. Adorned in colorful traditional attire, Inkem and Chidi radiated happiness as they prepared to exchange their vows before their families and the entire village. Obinna, though still hesitant, couldn't deny the genuine love between his sister and Chidi, silently praying for their happiness. As the ceremony commenced, with rhythmic drum beats and joyful chants filling the air, unexpected guests arrived at Umachi. Among them was Adaobi, a distant cousin of Inkem from a neighboring village. Her arrival stirred whispers among the villagers, as Adaobi was known for her cunning nature and ambitions that often clashed with traditional values. Adaobi's eyes gleamed with curiosity and a hint of mischief as she observed the festivities. She had heard of Nkem's upcoming marriage to Chidi and saw an opportunity to advance her own agenda hidden behind a facade of familial concern. With a charming smile and carefully chosen words, Adaobi maneuvered her way into the conversations, planting seeds of doubt and jealousy among those who cared to listen. Ugomma, who had been overseeing the preparations with diligence, sensed Adaobi's underlying motives, but chose to remain silent, her mind preoccupied with her growing feelings for Chidi. Unknown to her, Chidi's heart was solely dedicated to Inkem, and any affection he showed Ugomma was that of friendship and camaraderie. Meanwhile, Ezeogo, the wise elder of Umachi, observed the unfolding events with a watchful eye. He sensed the brewing tensions and understood the delicate balance between tradition and personal desires. Ezeogo knew that the path to true harmony required wisdom and diplomacy, especially in the face of hidden agendas and unspoken rivalries. As the traditional rites progressed, a sudden commotion disrupted the joyous atmosphere. A messenger arrived from a distant village bearing news that sent shockwaves through Umachi. The message carried bad news of a long-standing dispute between the Okonkwo and Ude families dating back generations. Hidden resentments and unresolved conflicts threatened to cast a dark shadow over Inkem and Chidi's union. Obinna's brows furrowed in concern as he listened to the messenger's words, realizing the weight of the ancestral feud that now loomed over his sister's happiness. He exchanged worried glances with Inkem, who remained resolute in her love for Chidi, but couldn't ignore the gravity of the situation. Ezeogo, called upon to mediate the escalating tensions, summoned representatives from both families to a council meeting in the center of Umachi. The villagers gathered in hushed tones, their eyes shifting between hope and apprehension as Ezeogo prepared to unravel the tangled threads of the past. Just as the council meeting was about to begin, a sudden downpour descended upon Umachi, shrouding the village in a well of rain and uncertainty. The villagers whispered of the god's displeasure, sensing a divine warning amidst the turbulent events unfolding. Amidst the rain-soaked village square, Inkem and Chidi stood hand in hand, their hearts intertwined with hope and determination. Obinna's gaze softened as he watched his sister's unwavering faith in love, knowing that the decisions made at the council meeting would shape their destinies and the future of Umachi. The rain-soaked village of Umachi held its collective breath as the council meeting was in session. Ezeogo, the revered village elder, sat at the center, his weathered face a mask of solemnity and wisdom. Representatives from the Okonkwo and Ude families, along with concerned villagers, gathered around, their hearts heavy with the weight of ancestral disputes and impending decisions. Ezeogo's voice cut through the murmurs of the assembled crowd, his words carrying the weight of generations past. We gather here, not as adversaries, but as stewards of our shared heritage, he began, his gaze sweeping across the faces of the Okonkwo and Ude representatives. It is time to unearth the roots of our discord and nurture the seeds of understanding and reconciliation. The representatives, hardened by the years of animosity and pride, exchanged weary glances, but nodded in reluctant agreement. Ezeogo called forth elders who held knowledge passed down through oral traditions, seeking to unravel the tangled history that divided the once united families. As stories of betrayal, misunderstandings, and lost honor emerged, the villagers listened in somber silence, realizing how grudges from the past had cast shadows over the present. Inkem and Chidi stood together, their intertwined hands, a symbol of unwavering love amidst turbulent revelations. Obinna, torn between loyalty to tradition and his sister's happiness, stepped forward, his voice carrying a plea for understanding and forgiveness. We cannot change the past, but we can forge a future where love and unity triumph over ancient grievances. He implored, his words echoing the hopes of many in Umachi. Ugomma, who had silently supported Chidi and Inkem throughout their journey, found her own resolve strengthened by the unfolding events. She approached Obinna with a tentative smile, their shared desire for peace bridging gaps that had once seemed insurmountable. Ezeogo, sensing a shift in the collective consciousness of the villagers, proposed a symbolic gesture of reconciliation, an offering to the spirits of their ancestors at the sacred Oji shrine. The Okonkwo and Ude families, guided by newfound understanding and humility, agreed to the ritual, marking a pivotal moment in Umachi's history. Under the moonlit sky, villagers gathered, offering prayers and pouring libations to honor those who came before them. Inkem and Chidi, clad in traditional attire adorned with symbols of unity, led the ceremonial rites, their voices joining the chorus of hope and renewal. Just as the final libations were poured, a distant rumble of thunder reverberated through the night air, signaling the end of the rainy season and a cleansing of past grievances. The villagers, hearts uplifted by the shared experience, returned to Umachi with a renewed sense of community and purpose. Days turned into weeks, and whispers of Inkem and Chidi's love story evolved into a tale of resilience and harmony. The once divided families now shared meals and stories, weaving a new tapestry of friendship and cooperation. Obinna, proud of his sister's courage and the transformative power of love, embraced Chidi as a brother and ally, in building a brighter future for Umachi. Ugomma, her heart at peace with the choices made, found solace in her friendship with Inkem and Chidi. Together, they celebrated not just a union of two hearts, but a union of families and traditions that honored the past while embracing the possibilities of tomorrow. Ezeogo, the wise elder, whose guidance steered Umachi through tumultuous times, smiled as he witnessed the village flourish once more. His wrinkled hands traced patterns in the dust, symbols of unity and resilience etched for generations to come. And so, Inkem and Chidi's love story blossomed into a legacy, a testament to the enduring power of love, forgiveness, and the indomitable spirit of the Igbo people. And in that timeless moment, amidst the gentle swaying of palm fronds, Inkem and Chidi danced to the melody of a new beginning. A journey of love and intrigue that transcended challenges and embraced the promise of a shared destiny written in the stars above Umachi. Impassioned speeches ignited sparks of rebellion among the younger generation. Malam Haruna, a charismatic merchant with a calculating mind, their forbidden love blossomed amidst stolen glances. And the heart of Daura, a beautiful Hausa village where the golden sands whispered tales of ancient wisdom, and the vibrant marketplaces echoed with laughter and songs, there lived the illustrious Abdullahi family. Their compound, adorned with ornate gates and shaded by the ancient baobab trees, stood as a testament to their wealth and influence in the community. At the helm of the Abdullahi household was Baba Musa, a distinguished man whose wisdom was as vast as the Sahara itself. He governed his family with a firm yet fair hand, earning the respect of his kin and the admiration of his neighbors. Beside him stood Mama Zainab, a woman of grace and strength, whose gentle words could mend even the deepest wounds. Their children, each bearing the mark of their unique personalities, added layers of complexity to the Abdullahi legacy. First was Halima, the eldest daughter, whose beauty rivaled the blossoms that adorned the village gardens. She possessed a kind heart and a sharp intellect, making her a favorite among the villagers and a source of pride for her parents. Next was Ibrahim, the heir to the Abdullahi name, and Baba Musa's pride and joy. He carried himself with the confidence befitting a future leader, his ambitions fueled by a desire to uphold his family's legacy and expand their fortunes. Then there was Aisha, the free spirit whose laughter danced like the winds across the desert. Her unconventional ideas often clashed with the traditional values held dear by her parents, leading to spirited debates and occasional rifts within the family. And finally, there was Nasiru, the youngest son, whose quiet demeanor belied a keen, observant nature. He often retreated into the shadows, unnoticed by many, yet absorbing every detail of the intricate dynamics that shaped their family's destiny. The Abdullahis were revered and envied in equal measure, their opulent lifestyle masking the cracks that threatened to splinter their unity. As the years passed and ambitions clashed, whispers of discontent crept into the narrow alleyways, sowing seeds of doubt and discord among even the closest of kin. Halima, once the darling of the family, harbored a secret longing that gnawed her soul. Her heart yearned for a love that transcended social status and expectations, a desire that could shake the foundations of their carefully constructed reputation. Ibrahim, burdened by the weight of expectations, found himself torn between duty and personal fulfillment. His decisions, scrutinized by those hungry for power, carried consequences that rippled through the Abdullahi household and beyond. Aisha, fueled by her passion for change and equality, clashed with traditionalists who resisted progress. Her efforts to champion causes close to her heart ignited sparks of rebellion among the younger generation, but drew scorn from those clinging to age-old customs. And Nasiru, the silent observer, stumbled upon secrets buried deep within their ancestral home, His discoveries, intertwined with the tangling web of family history, threatened to expose truths that could either unite or tear them apart. As tensions mounted and alliances shifted, the fate of the Abdullahi dynasty hung precariously in the balance, poised on the edge of a precipice where one misstep could plunge them into chaos. In the beautiful city of Daura, the Abdullahi family's saga continued in tumultuous journey. The peaceful facade of their compound belied the storms brewing within, as the threads of love, ambition and betrayal intertwined to weave a story of intrigue and redemption. The night air hung heavy with anticipation as Halima, the eldest daughter of the Abdullahis, stole away from the opulent confines of her chamber. Her heart fluttered with a mixture of trepidation and longing as she made her way towards the outskirts of the village, guided by the gentle glow of moonlight. Unknown to her family, Halima had been exchanging clandestine letters with Abdul, a young artisan whose humble origins stood in stark contrast to her privileged upbringing. Their forbidden love blossomed amidst stolen glances and fleeting moments, each meeting fraught with the danger of discovery. As Halima reached the scheduled spot where Abdul awaited her, a knot of apprehension tightened in her chest. Their whispered conversations had fueled dreams of a future together, but the harsh reality of societal expectations loomed like a spectre over their clandestine romance. Meanwhile, Ibrahim, the heir to the Abdullahi legacy, grappled with the weight of his responsibilities. His father, Baba Musa, had entrusted him with overseeing the family's expansive trade routes, a task that required shrewd negotiation and unwavering determination. Ibrahim's ambition soared beyond the boundaries of their village, his gaze fixed on distant horizons where wealth and influence beckoned. However, whispers of dissent amongst rival factions threatened to unravel the delicate alliances that sustained the Abdullahi fortune. Aisha, ever the advocate for change, found herself embroiled in a heated debate with traditional elders who resisted her calls for educational reforms and gender equality. Her impassioned speeches ignited sparks of rebellion among the younger generation, but garnered disdain from those entrenched in conservative beliefs. Nasiru, the enigmatic youngest son, continued his solitary observations, piecing together fragments of the past that whispered of forgotten secrets buried within the Abdullahi lineage. His quest for truth led him to delve deeper into the hidden chambers of their ancestral home, where shadows held echoes of long-forgotten betrayals and sacrifices. Unknown to the Abdullahis, a shadowy figure lurked on the fringes of their world, weaving intricate webs of deceit and manipulation. Harbored ambitions that extended far beyond his humble beginnings. Driven by envy and resentment towards the Abdullahis' prosperity, Malam Haruna forged alliances with disgruntled rivals, sowing seeds of discord that threatened to upend the fragile equilibrium of the village. His insidious influence seeped into every corner, whispering promises of power and wealth to those willing to dance to his tune. Halima's clandestine meetings with Abdul had not gone unnoticed, and Malam Haruna's spies shadowed her every move, gathering tidbits of information to use as leverage in his quest to destabilize the Abdullahi dynasty. Ibrahim's ambitions made him a prime target for Malam Haruna's machinations. Under the guise of friendly overtures, he planted seeds of doubt and suspicion among Ibrahim's allies, exploiting insecurities and past grievances to sow discord within the once unified ranks. Aisha's outspoken advocacy drew Malam Haruna's attention, his conservative beliefs clashing with her progressive ideals. Through cunning manipulation of public opinion and subtle sabotage of her initiatives, he sought to undermine her influence and tarnish the Abdullahi name. Nasiru's solitary explorations unearthed fragments of a dark family secret, a betrayal that cast a long shadow over their lineage. Malam Haruna's agents, aware of Nasiru's discoveries, kept a watchful eye on his activities, weaving a web of deception to divert his attention and conceal the truth lurking in the shadows. As tensions simmered beneath the surface, the Abdullahis found themselves ensnared in a web of deceit and betrayal, their once unbreakable bond tested by hidden agendas and long-buried secrets. Halima's heart ached with the weight of forbidden love, her clandestine meetings with Abdul becoming riskier with each passing day. Malam Haruna's spies closed in, threatening to expose their romance and unleash the fury of societal norms upon them. Ibrahim's trusted allies turned wary, their loyalty eroded by whispers of doubt and manipulation. His efforts to secure lucrative trade deals faltered in the face of orchestrated obstacles, pushing him to the brink of desperation as his family's fortunes hung in the balance. Aisha's advocacy faced relentless opposition, her every move countered by subtle acts of sabotage orchestrated by Malam Haruna's network of influence. On the 3rd, she rallied allies among the younger generation, determined to challenge the status quo and usher in a new era of progress. Nasiru's quest for truth led him down labyrinth paths of deception and revelation. As he pieced together fragments of the past, he unwittingly drew closer to a revelation that could either shatter or redeem the Abdullahi legacy. Amidst swirling intrigue and mounting tensions, fate conspired to unveil long-hidden truths that threatened to unravel the Abdullahi family's legacy. Halima's secret rendezvous with Abdul took a perilous turn when Malam Haruna's spies intercepted one of their letters. The revelation sent shockwaves through the Abdullahi household, igniting a fiery confrontation between tradition and desire. Ibrahim, desperate to salvage his family's honor and fortunes, delved deeper into the web of deceit woven around him. Betrayals and alliances shifted like sands in the desert storm, testing his resolve and challenging his loyalties. Aisha's unwavering spirit faced its ultimate test as Malam Haruna escalated his campaign to undermine her influence. Yet, in the face of adversity, she found unexpected allies among those inspired by her courage and determination. Nasiru's solitary quest for truth converged with an unfolding drama, his discoveries shedding light on a betrayal that echoed through generations. As he unearthed long-buried secrets, a reckoning loomed on the horizon, threatening to tear the Abdullahi family apart or forge a path towards redemption. As dawn broke over Daura, the beautiful Hausa village, casting golden hues upon the Abdullahi compound, the family stood at a crossroads of destiny. Bonds tested and secrets revealed, they faced a choice that would define their legacy for generations to come. Halima and Abdul, their love laid bare amidst the tumultuous events, stood united in defiance of societal expectations. Their courage inspired whispers of admiration and dissent, challenging age-old norms and sparking debates that echoed through the village streets. Ibrahim, disillusioned by betrayals and intrigues, embarked on a journey of self-discovery. Amidst the remnants of shattered alliances, he formed new paths of resilience and determination, determined to carve a future untainted by greed and deceit. Aisha's unwavering spirit found resonance among the younger generation, her advocacy evolving into a catalyst for societal change. Together with allies old and new, she championed causes that bridged divides and nurtured hopes for a brighter tomorrow. Nasiru's revelations, though wrought in pain and revelation, paved the way for healing and reconciliation within the Abdullahi family. As the sun set on the horizon, painting the sky in the hues of crimson and gold, the Abdullahis stood united, their bonds forged anew amidst the trials of adversity. The path ahead, though fraught with challenges and uncertainties, beckoned with the promise of redemption and renewal, echoing the timeless resilience of a family bound by love and legacy. The aftermath of revelations and upheavals left the Abdullahi family and the village in a state of fragile equilibrium. Halima and Abdul's love, once a forbidden secret, now stood as a beacon of courage and resilience, inspiring others to challenge societal norms and embrace the power of love without boundaries. Ibrahim, having weathered the storms of betrayal and deceit, emerged as a leader tempered by adversity. His newfound humility and empathy bridged divides within the family and the community, fostering alliances based on trust and mutual respect rather than greed and ambition. Aisha's relentless advocacy bore fruit as educational reforms and gender equality initiatives gained traction, paving the way for a more inclusive and progressive society. Her passion ignited hope in the hearts of the younger generation, fueling inspirations beyond the constraints of tradition. Nasiru's journey of discovery culminated in a reconciliation that transcended generations. By unraveling the tangled threads of the past, he unearthed not only painful truths, but also buried virtues of forgiveness and understanding, weaving a tapestry of unity within the Abdullahi lineage. Meanwhile, Malam Haruna's machinations met their downfall as his web of deceit unraveled in the face of collective resilience and solidarity. Exposed and isolated, he retreated into obscurity, a cautionary tale of the perils of greed and manipulation. As seasons turned and the village embraced a newfound harmony, the Abdullahi compound buzzed with activity and renewed purpose. Halima and Abdul, their love now celebrated openly, embarked on a journey of partnership and shared dreams, weaving their passions into the fabric of the community. Ibrahim's leadership bore fruits of prosperity tempered by compassion, his decisions guided by lessons learned from tumultuous times. The Abdullahi trade flourished not only in wealth, but also in equitable partnerships that uplifted neighboring villages and fostered a spirit of cooperation. Aisha's vision of education as a transformative force resonated beyond village borders, drawing scholars and educators eager to contribute to a burgeoning legacy of knowledge and enlightenment. Her passion for equality and justice inspired generations to come, leaving an indelible mark on the Hausa society. Nasiru, once a silent observer, emerged as a storyteller, weaving tales of resilience and redemption, preserving the Abdullahi legacy for future generations. His chronicles carried echoes of wisdom gained from navigating treacherous paths of deceit and discovery, reminding all those who care to listen of the importance of truth and forgiveness. In the fading twilight of an eventful era, Baba Musa and Mama Zainab, the pillars of the Abdullahi family, gathered their children and grandchildren under the ancient baobab tree that shaded their compounds for generations. With eyes that mirrored a lifetime of joys and sorrows, Baba Musa spoke of lessons learned and legacies forged through trials and triumphs. He shared tales of ancestors whose courage and compassion illuminated the darkest hours, weaving threads of resilience and unity into the fabric of their family tapestry. Mama Zainab's gentle voice carried melodies of love and forgiveness, reminding each member of the Abdullahi clan of the enduring strength found in unity and understanding. She spoke of a village enriched by diversity and respect, where differences were celebrated as threads in a vibrant mosaic of life. As stars adorned the night sky like diamonds in a celestial universe, the Abdullahis embraced their hearts intertwined with the timeless rhythms of love and legacy. The lessons of the past echoed in their shared laughter and whispered promises of a future guided by compassion, integrity, and the enduring wisdom of the heart. And so, as the story of the Abdullahis finds its gentle cadence in the annals of time, may its echoes remind us all of the transformative power found in embracing truth, forgiveness, and the boundless depths of love that transcend barriers and illuminate the path to lasting harmony. She would snap at him for the smallest things, criticize him constantly, and spend money as if it grew on trees. In the heart of Calabar town, where the palm trees sway and the river whispers secrets, there lived a man named Ufot. Now, Ufot wasn't just any man. He was kind, hardworking, and his heart was as big as the sky. But there was one thing missing in his life, and that's a wife. Ufot had been searching for a wife for what seemed like an eternity. Every time he found someone he thought could be the one, they would slip through his fingers like water. Some said they were too busy. Others said they weren't ready. It seemed like the universe was playing a cruel joke on poor Ufot. One day, as Ufot walked through the bustling streets of Calabar, he met a woman named Udak. She was beautiful, with her eyes like the midnight sky and a smile that could light up the darkest night. "Hello, handsome," Udak said, her voice as sweet as honey. "I couldn't help but notice you from across the street. My name is Udak. What's yours?" Ufot felt his heart skip a bit as he looked into her eyes. "My name is Ufot," he replied, his voice catching in his throat. From that moment on, Ufot and Udak were inseparable. They spent every moment together, laughing and talking as if they had known each other their whole lives. Ufot was convinced that he had finally found the one. But little did he know that Udak was not who she seemed. Behind her beautiful smile hid a darkness, a cunning and deceitful nature that would soon reveal itself. As the days turned into weeks, and the weeks turned into months, Ufot began to notice things about Udak that he had never seen before. She would snap at him for the smallest things, criticize him constantly, and spend money as if it grew on trees. But Ufot ignored the warning signs, convincing himself that he was just being paranoid. After all, he had waited so long to find someone like Udak. He couldn't bear the thought of losing her. And so, in a moment of desperation and longing, Ufot asked Udak to marry him. And to his surprise, she said yes. But little did he know that he had just walked into a trap. Udak's true nature would soon reveal itself in ways that Ufot could never have imagined. And so begins the unbearable story of Ufot and Udak, a story of love, deceit, and the harsh realities of marriage. But will Ufot realize the truth before it's too late? Only time will tell. After their wedding, Ufot began to notice a change in Udak. What once seemed like harmless mannerisms now revealed themselves as signs of something shady. One evening, as Ufot returned home from a long day at work, he found Udak sitting in the living room, surrounded by bags from expensive stores. "What's all this?" Ufot asked, his heart sinking as he looked at the piles of clothes and accessories. Udak flashed him a smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Oh, just a little shopping spree," she replied casually. "I thought I deserved a treat." Ufot's stomach churned as he thought about the money they didn't have being spent on frivolous things. But he pushed his concerns aside, not wanting to start a fight. But the spending didn't stop there. Udak continued to rack up debts in Ufot's name, buying things they didn't need and couldn't afford. And every time Ufot tried to talk to her about it, she would brush him off, telling him not to worry. But worry was all Ufot could do. He watched helplessly as their savings dwindled and their debts piled up. All the while, Udak's spending habits spiraled out of control. And as if that wasn't enough, Ufot also began to notice Udak's cruel characteristic. She would belittle him in the front of their friends, mock his dreams and aspirations for the future, and withhold affection as punishment for the smallest perceived insult. But through it all, Ufot remained hopeful. He believed that if he just loved Udak enough, she would change. He held on to the idea that their marriage could still be saved, despite all the warning signs pointing to the contrary. But little did Ufot know that he was in for even a rougher ride. For Udak's true intentions were far more frightening than he could ever have imagined. And as the days turned into months, Ufot would come to learn that sometimes love is not enough to save a marriage from the grip of deceit and manipulation. As time passed, Ufot began to lose hope in their marriage. And now it was being replaced by a troubling sense of fear. He couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong with his marriage, but he didn't know how to fix it. One day, Ufot came home early from work, hoping to surprise Udak with a romantic dinner. But what he found when he walked through the door shattered his heart into a million pieces. There, in the living room, sat Udak, laughing and flirting with another man. Ufot's blood ran cold as he watched them together, his mind struggling to process what he was seeing. Udak, what's going on? Ufot asked, his voice trembling with disbelief. Udak turned to him, her eyes cold and calculating. Oh, Ufot, you're home early, she said, her tone dripping with fake innocence. This is just a friend of mine. We are just catching up. But Ufot knew better. He could see the truth written in the other man's eyes, in the way Udak leaned into him with a familiarity that made Ufot's stomach to churn. Without a word, Ufot turned and walked out of the house, his heart heavy with grief and betrayal. He couldn't believe that the woman he had loved and trusted could do something so wicked. For days, Ufot wandered the streets of Calabar, lost in a cloud of pain and confusion. He couldn't understand how he had been so blind, how he had let himself fall for Udak's lies. But as he wondered, he began to see things more clearly. He realized that Udak had never truly loved him. She had seen him as nothing more than a means to an end, a way to satisfy her own desires at his expense. And with that realization came a sense of freedom. Ufot knew that he deserved better than Udak's deceit and manipulation. He deserved a love that was honest and true, a love that would lift him up instead of tearing him down. And so, with a newfound sense of determination, Ufot made the hardest decision of his life. He would leave Udak behind and start anew, leaving behind the pain and heartache of their failed marriage. But little did Ufot know that the hardest part was yet to come. For Udak would never let him go so easily. She had plans for Ufot, plans that would ensure he never escaped her grip again. As the sun set over Calabar, Ufot prepared himself for the battle that lay ahead. He knew that the road ahead would be so long and difficult, but he was ready to face it head on. For he was Ufot, and he would not be defeated by the likes of Udak. With resolve unfolded in his heart, Ufot returned home to confront Udak. He knew it wouldn't be easy, but he was prepared to face whatever came his way. As he stepped into their house, Ufot found Udak lounging on the couch, a fake smile playing on her lips. She looked up to him, her eyes gleaming with malice. Well, 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 look who decided to come crawling back, Udak said, her voice dripping with disdain. But Ufot didn't recoil. He stood tall, his gaze resolute. "I'm not here to play your games anymore, Udak," he said, his voice steady. "I know the truth now, and I won't let you manipulate me any longer." Udak's fake smile faltered, replaced by a look of pure rage. "How dare you speak to me like that?" she shouted, springing to her feet. "You think you can just saunter in here and accuse me? You're nothing without me, Ufot, nothing." But Ufot didn't back down. He had spent too long under Udak's thumb, too long allowing her to control his life. He refused to let her hold power over him any longer. With a strength he didn't know he possessed, Ufot stood his ground. He told Udak that he was leaving her and that he deserved better than her lies and deceit. But Udak wasn't about to let him go without a fight. She hurled insults and accusations at him, trying to break his spirit and force him to stay. But Ufot remained steadfast, his determination unshaken. He gathered his belongings and walked out the door, leaving Udak behind in a cloud of anger and resentment. As he stepped out into the cool night air, Ufot felt a weight lift off his shoulders. He was free. Free from Udak's toxic influence. Free to forge his own path in life. But little did he know that the battle was far from over. For Udak would stop at nothing to get her revenge, to ensure that Ufot paid dearly for daring to stand against her. And as Ufot walked away from his old life, he knew that the road ahead would be difficult. But he also knew that he was strong enough to face whatever challenges lay in his path. For he was Ufot and he would not be defeated. As Ufot started his new life without Udak, he found himself facing a lot of mixed emotions. Relief for finally breaking free from her hold. Anger for allowing himself to be deceived for so long. And sadness for the love he had lost. But in the middle of the mix of his emotions, Ufot also felt a ray of hope. Hope for a brighter future that is not contaminated by Udak's deceit and manipulation. With every passing day, Ufot began to rebuild his life bit by bit. He surrounded himself with friends and family who supported him, who lifted him up when he felt like drowning in hopelessness. As time went by, Ufot began to heal. The wounds left by Udak's betrayal slowly began to fade away, replaced by reminders of the strength he had found within himself. But while Ufot was busy picking up the pieces of his shattered life, Udak was planning her revenge. She couldn't bear the thought of Ufot moving on without her, of finding happiness without her by his side. And so, in the darkness of night, Udak set her plan into motion. She spread lies and rumors about Ufot, painting him as the cause of their broken down marriage. She disrupted his relationships and undermined his efforts to rebuild his life, all in an attempt to drag him back down into the darkness with her. But Ufot refused to let Udak's actions define him. He stood tall in the face of challenges, refusing to let her break him once again. And as time went on, Ufot emerged from the ashes of his old life, stronger and more resilient than ever before. For he had learned the most valuable lesson of all, that true love does not seek to control or manipulate, but rather true love uplifts and empowers. And as he looked towards the future with hope in his heart, Ufot knew that he would never again fall victim to the deceitful charms of another wrong marriage. With each passing day, Ufot embraced his newfound freedom more and more. He threw himself into his work, pouring his energy into his passions and pursuits. But in the middle of the hustle and bustle of his busy life, Ufot never forgot the lessons he had learned from his painful marriage to Udak. He made up his mind to never again ignore the warning signs of a toxic relationship, to never again allow himself to be blinded by desperation and longing. And as he focused on building a life for himself, Ufot discovered a sense of purpose he had never known before. He found joy in the simple pleasures of life, in the laughter of friends, in the warmth of the sun on his skin, and in the quiet moments of being alone. But just as Ufot began to settle into his new life, he received an unexpected visitor, Udak. At first, Ufot was careful of her presence. He was unsure of what she could possibly want from him after all they've been through together. But as Udak stood before him, her eyes filled with regret and remorse, Ufot felt a twinge of compassion stir within him. Udak fell to her knees and begged for Ufot's forgiveness, pleading for a second chance to make things right again. She confessed to her wrongdoing, admitting that she had let her own insecurities and fears drive her to hurt the person that she loved. And as Ufot listened to Udak's words, he felt a sense of understanding run all over him. He realized that holding on to anger and resentment would only hold him back from moving forward in his life. And therefore, with a heart full of forgiveness, Ufot gave Udak a second chance. He knew that it wouldn't be easy, that rebuilding trust would take time and effort. But he also believed that everyone deserved a second chance, especially when they showed genuine remorse for their actions. And as Udak hugged Ufot tightly, tears streaming down her cheeks, Ufot knew that this was just the beginning of their journey towards healing and reconciliation. For sometimes, out of the darkest moments come the brightest rays of hope. And as Ufot and Udak started a new journey, they knew that together they could overcome any obstacle that stood in their way. Ufot and Udak faced a lot of challenges along the way of their new journey. Rebuilding trust and repairing the mistakes caused by years of deceit and betrayal was not easy, but they decided and were determined to make it work. Together, they attended counseling sessions where they learned to communicate openly and honestly with each other. They dived deep into the root causes of their problems, addressing insecurities and fears held by both of them. But it wasn't just the counseling sessions that brought them closer together. Ufot and Udak also made a conscious effort to spend quality time with each other, rekindling their love and affection that had once bound them together as one. They went on long walks by the riverside, holding hands and sharing their hopes and dreams for the future. They cooked meals together, laughing and joking as they experimented with new recipes in the kitchen. And slowly but surely, their efforts began to pay off. The walls that had once stood between them began to crumble, and it was replaced by a newfound sense of intimacy and heart connection. But their journey was far from over. They knew that rebuilding their marriage would take time and patience, and that there would be challenges along the way. But they decided to remain committed to each other and to their marriage. They refused to let the mistakes of the past define their future, choosing instead to focus on the love and forgiveness that had brought them back together again. And as they walked hand in hand down the journey of their renewed love, they knew that no matter what circumstances lay ahead, they would face them together as partners, as lovers, and as friends. Just as Ufot and Udak seemed to have found their balance in their renewed relationship, a shadow from Ufot's past arose to challenge their newfound happiness. One day, as Ufot was leaving his office, he received a message on his phone from an unfamiliar number. Curious, he opened it to find a text from none other than one of his former lovers, Nkoyo. Nkoyo's message was filled with longing and regret, confessing that she had never stopped thinking about Ufot and the love they once shared. She begged him to meet her, promising that seeing him again would bring a closure to the unresolved feelings that she still had for him. At first, Ufot was surprised by Nkoyo's sudden reappearance in his life. He had moved on from their relationship long ago and had no desire to revisit the pain of his past. But as he read and reread Nkoyo's messages, he couldn't shake the feeling of curiosity that disturbed him. And he thought to himself, what harm could one meeting do? He wondered. After all, he was committed to Udak now, wasn't he? Unknown to Ufot, Nkoyo's intentions were far from innocent. She saw Ufot's simplicity as an opportunity to rekindle their old flame, to entice him away from Udak and back into her arms. And so, despite the warnings ringing in the back of his mind, Ufot agreed to meet Nkoyo, convinced that he could resist the pull of her lust. But as he walked into the dimly lit cafe where they had agreed to meet, Ufot felt a sense of uneasiness rush all over him. He knew that he was playing with fire, that one wrong move could destroy everything he had worked so hard to rebuild with Udak. And yet, as he saw Nkoyo across the room, all thoughts of consequence faded away, replaced by a familiar longing that he thought he had buried long ago. Little did Ufot know he was about to be tested in ways he could never have imagined. And the choices he will make in the moments that follow would have far-reaching consequences both for him and Udak, threatening to scatter the peace that they have fought so hard to find. Questioned everything, from how they cook their meals to how they even care for their own home. Nkoyo's face fell, her eyes filling with tears. But Ufot, I love you. As Ufot sat across from Nkoyo in the dimly lit cafe, a variety of emotions ran within him. He was torn between the knowledge of his past with Nkoyo and the promise of a future he is building with Udak. Nkoyo, sensing Ufot's confusion, drew closer to him, her eyes filled with longing. Ufot, I've missed you so much, she whispered, her voice soft and tempting. I know we've made mistakes in the past, but I believe we can make things right this time. Please give our love another chance. Ufot felt his strength getting weak under Nkoyo's tempting look. Memories of their past love flooded his mind. The laughter, the passion, the deep connection they had in the past. But then, like a light in the darkness, Udak's face flashed before his eyes. The love and support she is now showing him and her changed behavior towards him. Suddenly, Ufot knew what he had to do. With a heavy heart, he moved himself away from the table, his voice steady as he spoke. Nkoyo, I can't do this. He said, his words filled with conviction. I've moved on from our past and I'm committed to building a future with Udak. I'm sorry, but I can't go back. Nkoyo's face fell, her eyes filling with tears. But Ufot, I love you, she pleaded, reaching out to grab his hand. Don't you still love me? Ufot hesitated for a moment, his heart torn between his past and his present. But then, with a sigh, he gently pulled his hand away from Nkoyo's grasp. I'll always care for you, Nkoyo, he said softly, but my heart belongs to someone else now. I hope you can find happiness too, but it won't be with me." And with that, Ufot turned and walked away, leaving Nkoyo behind in the darkness of the cafe. As he stepped out, he felt a sense of peace all over him, knowing that he had made the right choice. And as he made his way back to Udak, he knew that their love had been tested and proven to be true. For in the end, it was not the seduction of the past that had won, but the promise of a future built on honesty, trust, and unshakable love. As he got home, Ufot felt a weight lift off his shoulders. He had chosen Udak and their future together over the temptation of the past. As he opened the door, he was greeted by the warmth of their home and the loving presence of Udak. Udak looked up from where she sat, concern written all over her face. "Ufot, is everything okay?" she asked, sensing the uneasiness in his eyes. Taking a deep breath, Ufot walked over to Udak and held her hands. "I need to tell you something," he began, his voice steady. "I met with Nkoyo, my former girlfriend, today." Udwak's eyes widened in surprise, but she remained silent, giving Ufot the space to continue. "I was tempted, Udwak," Ufot confessed, his voice filled with remorse. "But in the end, I chose you. I chose us." Tears welled up in Udwak's eyes as she reached out to embrace Ufot. "Oh, Ufot," she whispered, her voice filled with emotion. "I'm so proud of you. Thanks for choosing me." And in that moment, as they held each other tightly, Ufot and Udwak felt the strength of their love renewed. They had faced temptation and came out stronger on the other side, confirming their commitment to each other and their future together. As they sat together, enjoying each other's love, Ufot and Udwak knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, hand in hand, united in the bond of love and forgiveness. For their love had stood the test of time, a love that would endure forever. As the months rolled by, Ufot and Udwak's relationship flourished. Their bond, strengthened by the temptations they had overcome, seemed unbreakable. Yet, life had more challenges in store for them. One morning, Ufot received a call from his mother, informing him of his father's sudden illness. Without delay, Ufot and Udwak rushed to his parents' home to offer their support. As they stood by his father's bedside, Ufot felt a mix of emotions overwhelm him. Memories of his childhood flooded back, the love and guidance his father had provided, the sacrifices he had made to ensure his family's well-being. Ufot's father smiled weakly, his eyes filled with pride as he looked at his son and daughter-in-law. "I'm sorry to disturb both of you like this," he murmured, his voice barely a whisper. "But I am grateful to have you here with me." Ufot squeezed his father's hand, his heart heavy with sadness. "Don't apologize, Dad," he replied, his voice filled with emotion. "We are here for you no matter what." So they quickly rushed his father to the hospital to continue caring for him. And so Ufot and Udwak spent their days and nights by his father's side in the hospital, offering him comfort and support in the time of his need. But just as Ufot's father's health began to stabilize and show signs of improvement, Ufot's mother collapsed suddenly, her frail body unable to withstand the stress of taking care of her husband. She was immediately admitted into the same hospital to receive care, and thankfully, she was soon back on her feet again, hale and hearty. As days went by, Ufot's father's health began to decline, and he needed to stay in the hospital to be observed and cared for by the doctors and given more medication because of his illness. As Ufot and Udak navigated through the challenges of caring for Ufot's parents, they faced an unexpected twist. Ufot's mother, Mama Eka, decided to move in with them indefinitely. Mama Eka arrived at their doorstep with her bags packed and a determined expression on her face. "I can't bear to be alone while your father is in the hospital," she declared, ignoring any protests from Ufot and Udak. And besides, I need to make sure you are taking care of him properly." Despite their unpreparedness, Ufot and Udak welcomed Mama Eka into their home, knowing that family came first no matter the circumstances. But as the days turned into weeks, things began to get out of hand. Mama Eka's presence was overwhelming. Her constant corrections and complaining was becoming unbearable to Ufot and Udak. She questioned everything, from how they cook their meals to how they even care for their own home. Udak tried her best to accommodate Mama Eka's needs while still maintaining some kind of independence. But it seems that nothing she did was ever good enough. Ufot, caught in the middle of this conflict between his mother and his wife, struggled to find a balance. He wanted to honor his responsibility to his parents while also protecting his marriage and his own sanity. But as the tension in their home reached a boiling point, Ufot and Udak realized that something had to give way. They couldn't continue living like this under Mama Eka's overwhelming presence, constantly second-guessing themselves and their decisions. And so, with emotion filling their hearts and a sense of determination, Ufot and Udak made the difficult decision to confront Mama Eka and set boundaries for her behavior in their home. It was a tense and emotional conversation, filled with tears and raised voices. But in the end, Mama Eka unwillingly agreed to respect their wishes, understanding that her presence was causing more harm than good. It was time for her to move back home, and they decided to be occasionally visiting her to check on how she's doing, while ensuring that they take good care of Papa in the hospital. As they settled back into their normal lives, Ufot and Udak knew that their journey was far from over. But they also knew that they were stronger together, united in their love and commitment to one another, no matter what challenges they faced.